Are connected to one another. If you want felicity, if you want to be successful, if you want to be rich, not in the sense of money necessarily, but rich before Allah, then seek knowledge. Why am I talking about this? Because I see young people sitting here, and young people sitting there, more young people sitting there. All the kids are going back to school now. But this is for them and for their parents. This will be clear through the rest of this wa'az, inshallah. So, an important aspect of this acquisition of knowledge is another important thing about it to understand is maslaha. Maslaha is derived from the word salih. Salih, ya ayyuhalladhina amanu wa amilu salihati. Everybody knows these ayats. Allah repeats them many times. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu wa amilu salihati. These two things married together. Iman and amal. Iman is belief. Amal is action. What kind of action? Action that's salih. So what are we talking about when we talk about maslaha? It means, what is the difference between an engineer who spends his life devising bombs, devising guns, or devising things of this sort, and for instance an engineer who figures out a way of doing better scans on the human body, or figures out how to build a bridge between two places, or how to do the public water services or things like that. You see the difference between the two. Both engineers, both took the knowledge, both got the knowledge, but one uses the knowledge for what? What is salih, what is good for the community, which is helpful for the community, which is a benefit to the community. The other person uses the same knowledge for destruction. The end of their knowledge is destruction. The end of their knowledge is killing. The end of their knowledge makes people's lives worse than they were. So not only do you have to pay attention to the khashua, that is to get the knowledge so that your humility grows, that because of your knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but that the knowledge that you take, the knowledge that you get from your education and your schooling is knowledge which is the application of which is called maslaha, which is salih, in accord with Allah saying, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu wa amilu salihati. O you who believe and act good, act soundly, act wholesomely, that your actions are a benefit to other human beings. So Allah doesn't say, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu wa amilu, and amilu by itself, because this amal has to be conditioned by it's being salih, it's being useful for the people. You young people, the young people, college, going back to college, or going to your studies, look for knowledge which will be helpful. Helpful to who? Helpful to you, your family, your community, and to the larger Muslim community. This is what you want in your knowledge. When you go off to school, those of you who are going away to school, look for things to study which will be helpful to the people. Even in your study, the study could be in a subject like engineering or something like that, but you can easily see it could be for the good or for the bad. You have to put it to the good use. You have to take your knowledge and make this knowledge for the good use of the people. So, understanding this principle now of maslaha, understanding, first of all, when we gain knowledge, we become khushu', we gain khushu'ah. Real knowledge gains false knowledge. You see the person who walked up, I'm Dr. So-and-so, I'm engineer so-and-so. These people have no knowledge. They have no real knowledge because they put this in the air and they get the kibr in their heart. This kibr in their heart keep them from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, keep them from the Jannah, because anybody who has the kibr cannot enter the Jannah. So what the knowledge you want is the knowledge that make you aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Allah's greatness, not your greatness. We are nothing. In the end, we live and we die like this and like this and like that. We come through this world, we pass out of this world. Anybody who thinks that there's something, that there's somebody big or something like this, have no knowledge. So when you see a man walking around like this, and you talk to him, and maybe you're just a street sweeper or something like that, and he talks to you like this, he has no knowledge. He may have PhD, he have MD, he may have LLD, he may have all of these things, but he has no knowledge. That's not what we're talking about. That's not what Allah is talking about. That's not what the Prophet ﷺ is talking about when he's talking about knowledge. Knowledge is something that makes you to understand what? The greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first. When you understand the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you understand that all of us, whether we're the king or the street sweeper, whether we're the doctor or the person who cleans the toilets, this has nothing, because what does he say? Neither the black nor the white is better than anybody, neither the Arab nor the non-Arab is better than anybody. The only one who's better than anybody is based upon what? Taqwa of Allah. That's the only nobility in Islam. PhD, MD, all of that, that's not the nobility of Islam. The nobility of Islam is what? Taqwa. Taqwa of Allah. This taqwa gives you khushu'. This khushu' makes you to be actually a rich person with who? With Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then you must take your knowledge, the knowledge that you get, the knowledge you take from your schooling, from your education, however you get it, to do what? To apply it for the benefit of the community. That your knowledge you use for the people. That your knowledge is something that benefits your family, benefits your community, and benefits those around you. So these two things, again, are clear that they're connected. Now, and by the way, when I talk about Iman, remember what the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, about Iman. He says, "La yu'min billah hatta yuhib li akihi ma yuhib li nafsi." No one is a believer in Allah until what? Until he loves for his brother, his fellow human being, what he loves for himself. So you can talk about Allah, you can talk about His books, you can talk about His prophets, you can talk about this, and you say, I believe all of that. But if you don't act on the basis of love for your fellow human being, what you love for yourself, then as he says, you may be a Muslim, you may pray, you may fast, you may do all of those things, but you're not a mu'min. Because the mu'min is the one who's in their heart is what? The love for their fellow human being. And he says, La yu'min billah hatta yuhib. Yuhib, hab is love. Not, sometimes they translate this desire. It's not desire, it's love. Love is very essential. You love Allah, love His Rasul. If you love Allah and love His Rasul, alayhi salatu wasalam, what will you do? You'll love other human beings. If your deen, if the person who stands here and talks to you and doesn't talk to you about love of Allah and love of His Rasul, alayhi salatu wasalam, what will you love? You'll love the dunya. It's clear.